Well, hello there. We are here at the Speakers Bureau, St. Lucie County School District Speakers Bureau program. We thought it would be a great thing to bring in some of our speakers where they could share their life story with our community. We've had the Speakers Bureau now for 4 years. This is our 5th year. We're going into our 5th year. And our individuals that have gone before our students have done a really tremendous job in helping our young people understand that there are challenges in life, there are difficulties in life, and how to go about making the right choices so that we can be overcomers and not fall victims to life. Those times when we may not feel on top of the hill, or we're in the valley somewhere, and we need to hear from other people. So our teachers within our district that have been able to hear our speakers have really been motivated, our administration as well. And so we want to bring this now to the public. We want to bring it to our community. We want to inspire not only our students, but this is a great way where our kids can actually, whatever school they go to, they can be exposed to the speakers. And not just the children, but the families, our parents. We want you to be motivated as well. We want you to hear these stories that are stories of people who have been able to be overcome their obstacles. And so for our first program today, we have with us our St. Lucie County School Board Superintendent, and he has been with us now, I believe, going on 3 years, which the time has really gone by quite quick, and you have done some tremendous work in this community that we are all proud of and grateful to have you here, really. So you were actually my first, I think, auditorium type speaker when you came in 2 years ago, and have been so supportive of this work. I can tell that you really understand the power of what it does in the lives of others. And so we're very grateful to have you, Mr. Gent. This is Mr. Wayne Gent, and we introduce him now for any of you that are in the public that have not met Mr. Gent before. You will get to hear a lot about him today, his life story, actually. And this is always exciting to do. So we want to open up first, Mr. Gent, with asking you about how you came about becoming a superintendent. I mean, how did you make it to this position that we're talking about?
Well, first of all, thank you for your service to our community and for the Speakers Bureau, and I've had a chance to go to some of them and hear the speakers, and not only does it inspire the kids, but it inspires us as adults as well. It's good to hear everybody has a story, and we have different chapters in our lives, and so I think it's so important that the children hear that and hear that that times are going to be good and times are going to be rough, and we got to get up when we're down and work together. So how did I get into a superintendency? I started out as a teacher, as a classroom teacher, and I was a coach. I was the head basketball coach at Fort Pierce Central from 1980 to 85, and have a lot of students that I've run into now. They're a little bit older. To me, everybody's in their 20s, but they're up there now. And then became an assistant principal, and then worked my way to a principalship, and served in the state of Florida, what was called principal in residence. And then I left St. Lucie and went to Palm Beach County in about 2000, and was what was called an area superintendent, where I was responsible for 40-some schools and all the operations of those schools, and then served as an assistant superintendent in curriculum. So I really kind of worked my way through the system, and then it just, and I applied for a superintendency 3 times and was denied 3 times. 2 times one time I ran for it in elected office, and 2 times through interview processes. So it was really the 4th time when I got the superintendency in Palm Beach County. I served as the interim superintendent while they were doing a national search, and then they decided to just stay with me and then put me in that position, and I was able to serve for about 3-4 years in that role there, and then was really looking for a different challenge, and landed back in St. Lucie County for it's been over 2 years now, almost 2.5 years.
So you applied for a superintendent's position here in St. Lucie County before before you went to West Palm.
Yes, I did. Well, no, I was in West Palm at that time. I'd been down there for, I think it was around 2003, maybe 2004. So I did apply and went through the interview process, and then they selected Mr. Lannon, and that was fine. You know, it was my first go around at it, and you know, you learn a lot, but you know, things work out. I believe there's a plan for everybody's life, and it wasn't my time at that moment, and so. But it was a great experience to go through that, because you learn a lot. And even when you're turned down sometimes and you don't get what you want, it's really about how do we react to that. You know, do we shrug our shoulders and quit, or do we say, okay, it wasn't the time, but what can I do the next time if I get this opportunity? What did I learn from this? How can I grow in this and be successful the next time? So you just never know how it'll work out.
So you have a story of resilience and one that didn't give up, is what we're hearing, and that is how you end up fulfilling this position that you're in. Because if you had given up and decided you was not going to try again, you wouldn't be sitting here today running the entire district of St. Lucie County. So it is a story of not giving up and moving forward in life no matter what. I'm sure you had challenges during those times.
Absolutely.
Especially not getting the job the first time. Yeah. And but we want to go back now. We want to go back into your childhood. We want to know what it was like for you. How did you become who you are today through your story? So can you share that with us?
Well, I'm from Miami, Florida, and so I'm a native Floridian, and I've been in this area for in the Treasure Coast region probably since 1980. But my childhood, I had a good childhood. I had a very loving mother and father, and you know, just a normal childhood in Miami, and went to school, and I was really into sports and into athletics. So I played a lot of I played baseball, I played football. I played basketball, and in high school I played a little football, but mostly basketball. I was on a state championship basketball team. So I was just kind of, you know, always outside, always running around, always always doing something. Very, very active. And sports and athletics was a big part of it. My parents were very involved in the church as well. So the church, I didn't realize it at the time, the influence that it would have on me later on in life, but they were actively involved. I've jokingly said that if the doors were open, you know, we were going to be there, you know, Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night. So that had a major influence on
Which so
my
many
upbringing.
of us went throughout life.
Exactly, yeah.
I not personally, but my husband often says his mother dragged him to church by the ear.
Yeah.
You know, and at that time he didn't realize what the impact that it would make on him as an adult.
Sure, yeah.
But it made a tremendous impact as an adult. What is one of your favorite childhood memories?
I remember when I looked at the question, I was, you know, it was just, I was happy. I was a happy, you know, I knew I had two loving parents, and they were strict. I mean, you know, if I messed up, you know, we got spankings back then, and so I've had a few of those as well. So that's not a favorite memory, but it kind of molds you. So, you know, the vacations, the trips with my parents, you know, seeing different parts of the country, going to Niagara Falls, going to New York City, going to the Keys. I remember going down, to the Keys, and then just every year we took a summer vacation and seeing the mountains for the first time. Going up and, I was expecting to see the Rockies, but we were seeing the Appalachian Mountains. So they're just all good memories, and I think our vacations were some of the happiest memories.
I think it's good to let our students know and our young people know that that if they do have two parents in the home, they have something very precious. In this day and time, so many of the homes do not have that. So many of the children are being raised without fathers in the homes. And some homes, even grandparents, and quite a few grandparents are out there raising children today. And I think it's important for our young people to understand that if we do have a support system at home, that we really understand that we have something that we can build our lives on. And because in this day and time, many of our young people, and I think in our time too, we go through that rebellious stage. We go through that, what we call rebellious, but I think it's really just going into our independence, becoming adults, and our bodies and our minds and our hormones and all of that is working together to take us from childhood to adulthood. And I think that it's important for us to understand during those rebellious times that if we have a grandparent, for example, maybe the only parent, maybe a mom, it may be a dad, But if we have that one parent that really, really cares about our well-being and is very supportive, that is one of the keys to going into a successful life later on. Is I had one speaker say, well, the one thing that he's so glad he did was that, and it was O'Neal. See, I don't know much about basketball, but Shaquille O'Neal.
Okay.
Shaquille O'Neal was saying that the best thing that he could have done in his life during the time when he first became a pro was to listen. He listened to his parents. And he said if he had not listened, he would have went way off into another field, would have lost everything that he has today. But when he had sound advice given to him, he was good at listening to that sound advice. And so let's talk about a little bit about those teenage years. Did you ever go through the rebellious time in life as a kid? You had the perfect family, so.
Well, we weren't perfect, and I'm probably still a little rebellious on certain things, but you know, I think you said, you know, you try to get your independence. You know what the rules are. You know what the boundaries are, and I think all of us. If I said I didn't break them and explore on my own, that would be not a true statement. But you know, I pretty much I wasn't perfect, and you know, I would you know, teachers would call the house on occasion, you know, about this or that, and usually it was just being too chatty or too talkative, and those kinds of things. They called it self-control back then, and so I always had a check in that, which meant I needed to work on that. I thought it meant I was doing okay in that, and all the other things I was messed up in. But you know, I had respect for authority as well, and I worked with coaches, you know, and being an athlete, and you know, you looked up to them, and you know, you talk about, you know, we knew it all, we know it all, you know, as teenagers, we know it all, and then, you know, later on, about 10 years later, we realized, well, maybe we didn't know it all, and that maybe, you know, our parents were right, or had some good things, or other adults. It seems like sometimes we listen to other adults more than you would listen to your own parents.
Yes.
You make a point about maybe not folks having two parents. It's less and less in our society today, and that's one of the things that's in the school system with our teachers. You know, we often say that the child's first and best teacher should be the parent. Sometimes that's not the case for all of our kids, unfortunately, and so sometimes our teachers step into that gap where we're not just teaching, but we're raising kids in the school system, which has kind of evolved, which a lot of folks don't know, or we try to connect them to the appropriate agency, whether it's, you know, this agency or that agency or this church or the synagogue or whatever it is, to try to connect them in the community.
Yeah, I had a parent that called me yesterday, and her son was really acting out in the classroom, and he has both parents in the home, and they are very involved in their school, and he was just being chatty, that's another phrase of putting what the teacher said was he just wasn't. He was distracting the other kids, is what she said.
That's probably a good way to put it.
Yeah, and so, you know, you mentioned about that other adults in that child's life.
Right.
It wasn't just the parent, but when she called me, I had the kid, I'm the other adult, and I had a little talk with him. And, you know, the village, the community, just all being together and being willing to step in and help our parents when these times come across. And not have to do a lot of helping, but just to be there and be that other voice for that kid. Now, I wanted to ask you about your college experience. Did you go to college?
Yes, I did. Okay. And that was an area where I'm in education now, but originally I was going to go into journalism.
Okay.
Broadcast journalism was my first, what I was very interested in, but couldn't get into the school that I wanted to get into. It was just my parents, we didn't have a lot of money, and so it was going to be a struggle to afford that. So I went to a smaller college that I could afford, and so decided instead of going into journalism, I went into education to be a teacher. I decided that my heart was set on the broadcast journalism, to do sports casting and those kinds of things because of my love of athletics. And when I found out that probably wasn't going to happen, you had to shift gears. And I just remember, being affected by my teachers and particularly a couple in particular, that stood out. And I thought, well, and I could teach and coach because I love sports, particularly basketball, and I had good coaches growing up, and thought, maybe that's something that I would pursue as well. So I ended up going into to teaching and coaching.
So you kind of you did shift gears. You
Right.
started out wanting to be a journalist, and when that didn't work out, there's another time that you didn't give up.
Right.
Instead, you shift gears, and you went into another field. Did you already have so many credits, or how did that work?
No,
for
I
you?
was just getting out of high school, but I
Okay.
always knew. My parents did not, because of, it was a different time. They did not go to college, but they instilled in us and myself, that was important. So I never doubted that I was going to go to college. I just wasn't sure what I would be doing when I went there. And that's not unusual for kids today either, to go and to change. They're there for a year or two and
Right.
decide, I want to change my
Yes.
major, I want to do this and
Yeah.
that. That's fine. But make sure you go through it and get the degree. Or if you're, go straight into the world of work. And you're working on a certain profession, you say, you know what, maybe this isn't it. Well, then look around for other things and get the training that you need. You just, you have to adjust, you have to adapt, but you need to do what's, that makes you happy and,
Yeah.
and brings you that
I
fulfillment.
got somebody I need you to call.
Okay, I'll do it.
A young person who graduated just last year from
Yeah.
our school district and now decides, I don't think I want to do what I thought I wanted to do so
Yeah.
much at that time. And they need to hear that because they're saying, well, maybe I don't even need college.
Yeah.
They're thinking like that now, and they're very, very intelligent. But
Well-
they're saying, well, maybe I'm wasting my time with college.
Well, it's, we're preparing kids for college and or career. So it's, some that's where they're going to route. Others, take certain classes in high school and get the industry certifications or credentials that they're going to need, and they move into a, into the arena of work. Whatever that is, that's their choice to make. Work with their families or their parents, and get a guidance from the school staff and their guidance counselors and teachers. And there's, everybody has a calling, I think. So
Yes.
they just have to find it.
So let me ask you this question. What and who are you most thankful for?
My parents. My parents, without a doubt.
Has there ever been a teacher in your life that impacted you, and if so, why? Who
Yeah,
or why?
and it's a great question. I had a teacher in 8th grade in Miami. It was a history class, and that's what I taught, history, and social studies and government, and I've always liked those kinds of things. And there was one teacher, we were in an auditorium setting, so there would be, probably 50 to 100 of us in the class, and he was just very, very, he got up in front of us and he almost acted it out. He acted out history and things, and I
Very
and
animated.
he got very charismatic, and and that kind of hit a nerve, and I thought that was, and to this day I never saw him when I left junior high. Back then it was called junior high school. Never saw him again after that, and he probably never knew that
Yeah.
what his performance and
Yeah.
his teaching style, influenced
Yeah.
me, and I thought, that this wouldn't be a bad
I
thing
have
to
a
do.
story like that also, as well as on the college level. I started out going into the medical field and had a professor who taught psychology and sociology, and I absolutely was thrilled to be in his classroom and change my profession, my major, to psychology because of him. And I'm blessed to be able to see him once every blue moon. He lives in this community. I went right to IRSC when it was IRCC, and he made a tremendous impact, and I let him know that.
Yeah.
Do you have a book or a quote that helped you shape your character, helped you move on from one point to the next in your career and in your home and your life?
Well, I always read. I was a reader. I started out with comic books because I consider myself a pretty good reader, and so I read comic books little, when I was little, and then always read then. Now I read a lot, and then most of the books I read now are about leadership, leadership development, and how do I continue to grow as a leader. We just had a big simulcast with our administrators and folks last weekend, last Friday. And one of the influences is a gentleman by the name of John Maxwell, who does
I read quite a few of his books.
And so there was a book, the 5 Levels of Leadership, which is, we've done a book study with our administrators here. I think I gave the board members all a copy of it as well. And so that's been very, that's had a big influence on the different levels. And we started at level 1 that somebody thought enough of us to hire us, but you haven't arrived. I don't think you ever arrive. I think that
Forever
when you
learning,
quit when you quit growing, then you're done.
Yeah.
So that's always been instilled in me, that there's always something else to learn, always something else to know, even though you may be in a higher position, of superintendent, which hopefully never gets to my head, but I have to continually grow,
Yes.
or I cheat the organization if I don't. And I have to model that for everyone else.
When did you consider yourself a success?
I don't know if I can. That's for other people to determine. I think that as long as I'm working, I can't rest on anything. I've got to keep moving and have different goals and different things I want to accomplish personally and for the district. So that, I guess I'll leave that up for somebody else to determine.
Now, on a little lighter note, do you have a song that sums your life up right now?
I don't know. We do that for our teachers. We've done that about what. When I first came here, I said, "What song would defines your school center, or what song defines the different district offices?" And so, I don't know if I really have one right now. To be honest with you, when I came here, we did a song by I think it was Teddy Pendergrass about "Wake Up." It's a wake up, and then wake up all the teachers. Time to teach a new way. Maybe the children will listen to what we have to say. So I don't really have. So I push that on other ones to have the song, but I don't think I have
that
one.
history teacher.
Yeah. So I don't know if I have. I love music and I love different songs, but I don't know if I can equate one to me.
Mr. Gent, sometimes people need second chances. Some of our speakers that we have had to go through a rough side of the road before they came to, like you said, before they woke up in their life, and are doing very well now. Do you believe in second chances? And if so, what are you looking for in an individual? Because people can say they've changed, but what are you looking for in their character or what have you that a person deserves a change?
Well, I do believe in second chances and sometimes third chances, and maybe more than that. Depends upon the situation. One of the things I tell our new teachers every year, that is, if your definition of failure doesn't include a second chance, then reevaluate that definition. So we get that opportunity for a second chance. If it's, let's say it's in an adult or a teacher, you would want to just see that they learn from that, and that may take time to do that. But I think that everyone makes mistakes. None of us are perfect, and that sometimes you can give second chances. Sometimes the offense is so hard that it may be tough to do, but generally, yes, second chances, and then watch somebody grow and learn from that. And what did they learn from this? And that's over a period of time or over a period of years. But I think we all have had those in our lives, and it's important that we continue to do that, and our teachers do that. And it's kind of like your driver's license test. You can take it over and over again until you pass it, and then you have
so
it.
I know that you've had, because we all have had our worst of times. Can you share with us how you pushed through your worst of times? Give us some things that you might have done, or things that you might think a person can do when they're really feeling down and feel like they've lost everything, or whatever. Someone maybe go through depression or whatever.
I think that you have to realize that you have a support network, that maybe you can't do it all on your own, and that you have friends, or you have teachers or friends or other adults, someone out there that's there to help support you. And that's what I try to stress, that it's just, I tell our folks in a district that alone I'm smart, but together we're brilliant. And so, you're going to have those hard times, you're going to have the times that you're going to need that support, but that nothing's going to come your way that you don't have the inner strength inside of you to overcome. You just may need to push and utilize other people. Just don't think that you can do it all on your own, and ask for help, and and that can be in private setting with close friends or whomever that person would be, and then get different advice, and then but that if you get knocked down, get back up.
There are many characteristics that every leader should possess. Can you think of one characteristic that you believe every leader should possess?
Caring. I think they need to care about others, and they think they need to have a genuine caring of the people that they serve. And and the other characteristic is that you're serving. We're here to serve others. When I came to the district, in the district office, we're here to serve the schools. It's not the other way around. We're here to serve the community and not the other way around. So it's really about caring and service to others.
Okay. Now, you have made a tremendous difference in this school district in the academic, just remarkable academic improvements. We have about 3 minutes. Can you share with us and with our audience the things that we have been able to accomplish as a school district with our students since you have
Well,
come?
whatever we've accomplished, it's a team effort, and it can't be done without the team. I can give a vision and a direction, but it's our teachers and our administrators. I'm very proud of our graduation rate. When we get our latest one that comes out here in a couple of weeks, every one of our high schools is going to be over 90%, and about 4 of them will be over 95%.
Wow, that's incredible.
So,
thank you. Thank
you
you.
know,
Thank you all. The whole
So
entire
that's
district
something,
for
and
that.
that's affected all of our children. And then no failing schools this year, and 21 of our schools, 65% of our schools have increased the letter grade. You know, so we're really moving in the right direction, and it's just really about training, good monitoring, giving support to our teachers and support to our communities, and to continue to do that. But we've made some nice gains, and we want to continue to grow on those gains. That's one of the reasons why I came to the county, because I thought we could. We've had good people here. They work very, very hard, and we've had a strong foundation with previous leaderships, previous superintendents, and wanted to build on that and then go to the next level.
Well, you have certainly done that. One more question. We have a little time
Okay.
here. If you could travel anywhere in the world, where would you go and why?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I kind of like Florida.
I figured you were going to say right here is fine.
I don't travel too much anymore. I like going out to the mountains. I would like to go over to Europe. I would. I think that would be cool, or to go into the Middle East and you know, where history started, to create, you know, and see things. I would love to. There's a lot of places you see on TV, and you know, so there's not one that just jumps out at me.
Why Europe?
You know, I think that's, you know, I would like to go back and almost like my ancestry, you know, and see where everybody came from. And some of that was Italy, some of that was England, and it kind of, you know, how the family trees are and those kinds of things now, and ancestry, and try to find out where folks came from, and see the paths they traveled, and that would be exciting to me. So that's why.
I think so too. For me, it's Africa. And you mentioned ancestry. You know, I did my ancestry.com thing, and found out that I was 92% African. 92% in this day and time, with all this mixture going on around. So I've always wanted to go back and travel through Africa and just see, you know, the continent. So
yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I think it's important for people to know where they come from. Well, Mr. Gent, you have been a wonderful guest.
All right.
Our first guest for the year.
First one. Okay.
Yes, and this is a great thing. I couldn't see anyone else coming on before we had our superintendent here, and you have been a powerhouse in supporting the Speakers Bureau and what we are doing here in the community. We have a lot of support from my after-school program, Save Our Children. They do a lot of recruiting for me, and as well as being there at the schools when other speakers are presenting. And also Kids at Hope has been our other sponsor, and financially we haven't had to put a dime toward it, because these other agencies have been helping. And so we thank you out there, we thank our audience, we thank our parents and everyone, our administration, administrators and our teachers, and the entire district and our families. We thank you for all of us being a part in our children's lives and helping them to understand that life happens, and we shall. I think we just had that storm, and you've got this new motto.
Oh yeah, rise above it.
And we shall rise above it. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Gent.
Thank you.